Welcome back. Today we'll talk about Atlanta Dream hiring FGCU's Karl Smesko, then move into some of our early scouting notes on 2025 draft prospects this season, as well as some more freshman standouts across the country.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Women's Basketball. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. You can get started this season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $100, $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. My name is Hunter Cruse. I'm your Saturday host covering the WNBA Draft and Prospect Scouting. I am joined by my co-hosts Emily Adler and Lincoln Shafer. Emily covers draft with a focus on player development in the game within the game. Lincoln also contributes to our draft coverage here at The Next and Locked On Women's Basketball. So, Karl Smesko, we've seen some hires throughout this offseason so far. Was this the most surprised you were of any of the hires so far, would you say?
Well, the other hires are Stephanie White and Tyler Mars, so I gotta say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. Karl has been the head coach of FGCU women's basketball longer than the players that he recruited this year have been alive.
Yeah, I wasn't alive whenever he was coaching somewhere else.
Yeah, he hasn't coached anywhere else since the year 2000. He started the FGCU program from scratch, absolute scratch, in 2001, 2002. They didn't have a facility when he took the job.
They lost one game in his first season at Division II. In his first season.
His first year coaching at an NAIA school, I think, Walsh University in Ohio, he won the NAIA national title.
Is that
this
good?
Man is it was a lucky run in Des Moines in a stormy tournament, but
they play basketball outside?
Who knows?
I'm not sure the storminess matters, is my point.
Well, it mattered for the people trying to get to the games.
All four fans who did make it were treated to a show.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I've had the pleasure of covering FGCU games a number of times over the years. Not a huge number of times, but more than average for someone who doesn't live in Tampa or in the Fort Myers area. And unlike our fearless managing editor, doesn't have family there either. But that being said, cool guy, very smart guy. He knows basketball. He knows players. He knows systems. This is kind of a weird hire just because as a sport, we've moved away from hiring great college head coaches to fill these roles. Yeah, especially men's basketball on the NBA side, they really sort of gave up on this after who was the guy that that was hired from Michigan and turned out to be a disaster?
John Beilein?
Yeah, Beilein.
Horrible decision.
Hey, we've seen it work. Brad Stevens.
Give me Brad Stevens.
Those are great.
Thank you, Nate Copper.
Or Bulls head coach.
Jim Boylan. No,
not Jim Boylan.
Billy Donovan.
Billy Donovan.
Yeah,
has that worked?
No, it hasn't really worked.
No.
He was a great coach in Florida.
He was. Go Gators, baby. That being said, yeah, as a sport, we've kind of moved away from this. In fact, in this game, we've kind of moved in the opposite direction. I'm sure most people who are listening to this podcast in particular probably remember Nikki. Crap. What's her name? Colin. Jesus, sorry. I woke for listeners. I woke up 20 minutes ago with a cold, so I'm out of it. Yeah, we remember Nikki Collin getting hired away from the Atlanta Dream to coach Baylor as the post-Mulkey coach, which was kind of wild at the time, but not that wild when you think about it. Going in the opposite direction is interesting, especially given that Smesko has turned down Power 4 offers. This most recent offseason, Miami was going hard for him, but kind of didn't have the money, and he used them to get a bigger extension from FGCU. So he's selective. This isn't just him jumping ship.
He's turned down.
Katie Smith do this in the exact opposite way. She was rumored to be a head coaching candidate and went into an assistant coaching job.
That's just Howard.
She'd been a WNBA head coach before, and now she is.
And that went horribly.
Coach. I mean, it was the Westchester Liberty. Who else could have done better?
Well, she was also the GM of that team, so she's also responsible for them being the Westchester Liberty.
But what I think is different about this hire is we talk about it with John Beilein, for example. His style of play does not fit what NBA teams are trying to do. Like how he coached.
You mean his players slurs?
Yeah, but just a style of play as well. Besides that, I think with FGCU and Smesko's system, it's better for professional level players than what it was doing at the college level. I think.
I'm not sure if it's necessarily better, but I think like it tracks more easily from FGCU pros than it would from FGCU onto like Bama or Miami.
Yeah. And for the people listening, Karl Smesko's system means get to the rim, shoot threes, and play defense.
Yeah, it's like what if Mike Neighbors wasn't an asshole?
Yeah, Karl Smesko, from all reports, very cool guy, very good.
He's
coach.
A super cool guy.
Yeah, and has a long track record of just being incredibly successful at every level he's been at.
For, again, being at Florida Gulf Coast University in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nikki Collin, coach for him.
Hunter, you're the dream beat. How do you think this affects the dream?
First of all, basically every single free agent, there's no chance they're coming back this next season based on like stylistic fit.
Inshallah.
And Tina Charles, Cheyenne Parker Tice, Aerial Powers was like the exact opposite. Like there was no way Aerial Powers
is the exact opposite of an FGCU player.
So I do.
Does this mean he's going to sign Tashara Morehouse out of like the third league in Turkey?
Hey, that'd be fun.
That'd be so much fun.
It's been a while since Debbie Black played. We haven't had a 5'3" player in a long time.
Morgan William, come on down.
I think this is huge for Ryan Howard's development in particular for me. Just because we've talked about how bad of a finisher she's been so far. Hopefully, having more room to drive will create better results there. Less pull-up twos. I'm interested to see what he does because I assume they're not going to take 30 pull-up twos or whatever for an entire season. It's going to be more than that, I feel like. They're going to have to take some.
But hopefully fewer from Ryan Howard.
Hopefully fewer from Ryan Howard. Get her off screens more. Use the movement shooting. Find creative ways to create advantages with Jordan Canada's drives. Interested to see where they go as far as the center position in the offseason, who they sign, who they trade for. Ileana Rupert is someone that I think would fit into like what he wants to do if she comes back over this next season.
In terms of having centers that can't defend?
That can shoot.
That too. I'm interested.
Naz Hillman, besides not really being a shooter, fits all the other things that he wants a big to do. Rebound, crash the offensive glass, set great screens. And
defend their ass off across like 2 to 3 positions.
Yeah, that's like if you wanted a big that couldn't really shoot. He also has an incredible track record of shooting development for players. And just a note here, Tashara Morehouse playing in Cyprus right now.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's wild. If he teaches Naz Hillman to hit like 32% of her corner threes, he's coach of the year. That's
absolutely
wild. That's crazy. What I'm really interested in with respect to like development in Atlanta from him is like, I want to see how the lineup construction changes because like we talked about this. Leash, she's a 3. She is not a 2 guard. She's performed admirably at the 2. She's very good. She can play the 2. She's not a 2. Ryan is sort of a 3-4 tweener in the good way, but she has never been allowed to play the 3 because of, well, various reasons. The former head coach was fired.
Ryan's played more. I think Ryan's played more at the 1 than she has at the 4, probably.
That does not surprise me at all, and that's 100%. And that's extremely.
Ooh, what depressing. If he teaches Haley Jones to shoot?
I think that would mean he officially gets Tara Vanderveer's win record.
Yeah, fair enough. Seems fair to me. Well, for like 3 more days.
Yeah.
3 more days.
Speaking of 3 more days, Hunter, what's our ad?
Let's go to our first ad break, and then we'll come back and talk about some draft prospects throughout the country.
Segway!
With Robinhood Gold, you need a silver spoon to eat up the financial flavors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the useful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and will be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Okay, to kick off segment 2, prospects throughout the country to open this college basketball season. Let's open up with just the South Carolina prospects that are eligible for this year's draft. It hasn't been great so far if your name's not Tahina Paopao, and Sanaya Fagan's done some interesting things a couple times. She's done some things.
She's been great defensively.
Are we talking about? You're talking about Sanaya Fagan, not Tahina Paopao, right?
Yeah.
Sanaya Fagan.
Disagree.
Really?
She gave up a combined like 6 or 8 points in one-on-one defense to to Tilda Trigger and Mallory Collier, and that's not good. Those players aren't actually that good. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. She also looked out of place on switches, which like, sure, you're an anchor big, so like you don't have to look good on switches, but like I prefer that you didn't look completely out of place. It's not changing my opinion that she's a role 3, but it's like, you know, Lincoln at least was optimistic that there could be a little more here. I'm seeing nothing, especially on offense.
She made a nice jumper, and then like that was kind of
it. We already know she can make that though.
She doesn't take them as much as she should probably.
She had some high-low passes, which we already knew she could hit, and then the post creation is bad.
But
Shakia Stokes.
Not a bad comp.
Kia Stokes is the better defender, but I don't hate it.
Right, that's the vision, though.
She's like New York Kia Stokes. It's not a bad comp. I'm putting that in the spreadsheet, actually.
Sick. I've been thinking about that for like a week and a half.
That's definitely the upside here. Do we have that already?
Yeah.
But let's start with another prospect in South Carolina. Raven Johnson has been like very concerning to me.
Yeah.
I'm like very concerned that Raven just like is what she is right now, and that's kind of like there's kind of hard to kind of improve on what she's bad at. My one thing I've kind of realized when I've watched prospects is the confidence piece. If you're really not ever aggressive about driving, and every time you touch the ball, you're looking to pass to the perimeter, she just doesn't create any advantages like whatsoever for South Carolina. For me, what's so far this season, it feels like she can drive. There's windows to drive, but she just decides to like swing it around, and like, it's okay because it's South Carolina, and it'll probably go to like a Tahina Paopao 3 or whatever, and they'll still score. But like, not every WNBA team. The talent gap is going to be way different at the WNBA level, so it's kind of concerning about like where.
It's a crazy thing to say.
The talent gap, it's real.
Yeah, it's just that South Carolina is so good. It's crazy.
She's gonna be surrounded by worse shooters in the W and better defenders against her, which is kind of funny. But yeah, the aggressiveness and the, I don't want to call it finishing, but like the ability to hit from like 5 to 10 feet really took a jump from what?
Touch.
Sure. It really took a jump from like her redshirt freshman year to last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was cool. And now it's.
I wish it would come back.
I wish it would come back. If it's taken like a half step back, even if it hasn't taken a step back, that's just not great to see.
She's taken like barely any shots at the rim. Like she's not
that's
even
what
like.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
The NC State tape was. We're talking about teams that have really played small sample sizes here. We're talking about teams that basically played one legit opponent, but like It didn't look great against South Carolina. She struggled with
or Michigan.
Oh, that's a good point. She struggled with non-Sinai River defender, whatever. And generally just like wasn't attacking the gaps the same way she had a couple years ago.
It also, it was the same thing in the Coppin State game as well. She wasn't attacking the gaps either in that game.
This man's watching Coppin State.
Yeah, it was close for a minute. It was close.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I would have done that when I was in college too, and I had an essay due the next night that I didn't want to write. But yeah, speaking of DevArc, you know whose DevArc is appears to actually be continually rising? That's right. I was going to say tonight. I was going to say Isaiah James. I think Tahina Papau is still a great player.
I just wanted to note that Raven Johnson is shooting 12.5% from the field right now.
That's
that will
good.
Come back.
We can hope. Yeah,
I will put several dollars on the line that Raven Johnson does not finish the season shooting under 13% from the field.
Some Angel Reset ass numbers. I mean, Tahina Papau looks great as always. I think I wouldn't say she necessarily looks better than last year, but this is the playmaking we saw as a true junior at Oregon that like she just didn't get the reps for last year. That's about how I'd put it.
Doesn't miss floaters, just like she's gonna make them every single time.
Already knew
Her
she
in
could
between
floater.
is so good.
She's so good, dude. I mean, I hope she has a good in between. She never gets to the rim.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
She has been driving more. It is a start.
Yeah. Mostly to pass, which is also what you want to see from a playmaker.
For sure.
Anyway, Isaiah James.
Bucket.
I want to give it here's the thing. I need to give it a little more time just because like everything she's done in the couple competitive games they've had this year is stuff that like we already knew she could do. We already know she's been able to do. Like she's always been an interesting finisher, not necessarily great on the decel, but like the body control and the mid-air adjustments have always been interesting. Her ability to sort of go through contact, her ability to make these pull-up threes and have the handle to create in the mid-range. The efficiency is, I think, something we're staring at here. Like the 2-point percentage is up. The 3-point percentage is basically the same it was last year, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, I need a bigger
especially
sample
with her shot diet.
Yeah, I need a bigger sample to see if there's actually something going on here. But the returns are like, if not
promising.
I would say, yeah, if not necessarily like hugely promising, they are at least confirmation that like this is a legitimate player worth drafting.
Yeah. She is like a pure upside bet to me.
You're upset.
Yeah, we've seen the tools. We know what she can do. We're just looking for some sort of more consistent production. Like,
right, and
if she can up the efficiency, if she can up the 2-point scoring, that's an absolutely great sign.
I also want to see more consistent like point of attack defense because like again, she's good but not great defensively, which I want to see just a little more improvement at. Like, here's the thing: she basically didn't play her freshman year. Sophomore year, she got consistent like 8th woman, sometimes 7th woman minutes, and flashed enough interesting things that her name was on our radar coming into last season. And so based on, this development arc we're talking about, if she actually makes like material improvements as, consistency in finishing, consistency in shot creation, as a point of attack defender, we're talking about like a really positive dev arc here. And that's really good. That's again, the opposite of what we're talking about with Raven Johnson. Westmore also has like a long track record of doing this kind of player development. So it at least like, it's reason to believe in it more than like, looking at my list, like Lucy Olson or Anna Gradasi taking another leap.
Sure.
Jada Curry. That's a good counterexample.
Any thoughts on Sanaya Rivers?
None that I want to express out loud without plunging myself into severe depression.
Good athlete, fun defender. I wish she could put the ball in the hoop.
Ever.
Yeah, the confidence was concerning in that game. She just kind of like zoned out offensively.
Yeah.
I would say the confidence was concerning in both directions. Like some of these shots you should not be taking.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. She was either too aggressive or like not aggressive at all.
Ma'am, please stop taking so many pull-up twos until you completely rebuild your jumper.
So many,
Jesus Christ. hasn't improved as a finisher. For someone who's that athletic and has that like level of like core strength, like you should be able to like be a better midair finisher. It like physically doesn't make sense.
I think she tries to like do like too many like creative like moves and is like trying to be too
not even
flashy.
Creativity. It's just like these. Simple. It's just like these long wingspan finishes around a drop defender. Like,
but like we don't need to do that. You don't need to do that.
Take an extra half step, or like even if you are in midair, I should have the strength to.
Go to break.
I genuinely don't get it. Yeah, go to break. I'm depressed.
Shout out Michaela Timpson.
Sure. Yeah. The same player.
Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place your bet on the NFL and all in one place. So when you get the hunch in the middle of a game, you can check the latest stats, view live play-by-play data, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch, and every moment with more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, moving from seniors, draft eligible prospects to the freshmen. Lincoln, who stood out to you so far this season?
I want to talk about Sarah Strong.
Nominated determinism.
Yeah. She had last night a stat line of 14 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 blocks. There have only been 3 players in high major basketball in her hoop stats era in major conferences, plus the WCC for reasons that would become clear in about 30 seconds, who have done that. And that's no, it's actually not Gonzaga. It's funnier. Huh. Sophomore Kalani Brown against UCLA in 2016.
Oh.
Junior Lauren Cox against South Carolina in 2019 in the Sweet 16. And St. Mary's California great Luella Tomlinson did this twice. The all-time leading blocks per game player in the NCAA. She had a game in 2010 where she had 14 points on 3 of 14 shooting, 15 rebounds, and 14 blocks. That's all I want to say. This is a very rare thing to do, to put up these kind of all-around numbers. And
odds are you'll become a complete bust on your rookie contract based on that.
Strong is the only freshman to have ever put up that stat line. Did she make a 3? No.
How many shots did you take? Don't ask.
7. There you go.
She took more than 7 shots. I'll tell you that much.
7 threes.
Yeah, I know.
From 2.
She's also generally a perfectly acceptable 3-point shooter. The form looks good. The footwork's great into the 3-point shot. Especially when you're watching a team that also employs ice Brady, you're like, these 3-pointers look completely different. One of them I expect to go in more often.
She has so many tools.
Her floor, okay. I don't like using the term floor game because, although it is a legit basketball term, it's very vague and encompasses 13 different auxiliary skill sets. But the only way I can succinctly describe what her secondary skills are is she has an insane floor game.
Yeah.
Her positional passing is eye-popping, even if it's not necessarily full playmaking yet. It's eye-popping. Her screening is very good for a professional playing her first legit game. The cutting and the movement around the perimeter are super advanced. Those don't come along until later. That's super advanced.
Another frosh that has been fun is Zam Jones at NC State. She was so impressive against South Carolina.
Dude, that passing and that handle were sick.
The passing made some fun jumpers.
Mm-hmm.
She is 5'7", but it's fun.
She ISO'd up, what was it, Sanaya Fagan, and just hit a step at 3 in her face or something?
She also shoots like Tip Hayes.
Oh, Ashton Watkins!
Derogatory.
Shoots like what?
It's like Tip Hayes. From here. Right under her chin.
I think she starts the shot there. She doesn't release there, which Tip Hayes does.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, the passing ability is wild. The handle is sick. She's so fast. She's so fast, dude. She's so fast. And she's so smooth into the pull-up midi. Unlike Tip Hayes Lincoln.
Speaking of a smooth finisher, any thoughts on Toby?
No.
No thoughts?
Welcome back, Fran Beliebe.
I hate you so much, but honestly, Fran Beliebe in a Kara system would go wild.
Just go dunk.
In both ways.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I mean, she played against Christina Dulce. I don't know. I don't care. Dulce, thank you.
She's such a good defender.
She's such a fun defender. She played against Christina Dulce, and like mostly got the best of her on defense.
Dulce falls on the USP spectrum of what you do doesn't really affect whether or not the shot falls.
Yeah, except she's just like worse. But yeah, she mostly like didn't care about Dulce's defense, which is a great sign in terms of like her post creation, which is something that like we never really saw much flashes of on the Canadian national teams, which like we expect.
I mean, it makes sense. She was 17.
I mean, yeah, but she's on. No, I'm talking about like the U17, U18s.
Yeah, I know.
Shut up. So that was nice. That was a little surprising. She committed a bunch of fouls, which is unsurprising. Dulce's the only legit like post she's played against so far, so we'll see. Blocked the crap out of Sarah Poffenberger a couple of times, I think.
I like watching a bunch of freshmen in the non-con time because it gives you like an agenda of players to watch during conference games. Because a lot of these players, looking at you, LSU, aren't going to play a good team until January.
And they still barely won.
Looking at you, Minnesota. Like,
well, to be fair, we don't really expect the Minnesota players to be good.
Looking at you, Alabama. 5 games in like a week.
Why are they playing them back-to-back?
Back-to-back against like...
That's abuse. There should be a clause in the contract that gets you fired for doing that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And they played like 8 players for like most of the game in a back-to-back.
Should we eventually talk about Sarah Ashley Barker?
No, but we should talk about Alina Arnasalo or Lainey Grant.
Go ahead.
No, you. What if you talk about one of those players? Because I've already talked about them.
Have you talked about Lainey Grant on the podcast?
No, she didn't take it. Fine, I'll talk about it. I'm trying to divide up the airtime here. Lainey Grant.
If you have things to say, then say the things.
Thank you, Lincoln. Thank you. You're inspiring me. Lainey Grant came in off the bench for UNC. Sort of. It wasn't quite like a break class in case of emergency, but it was sort of like, hey, here's like our fourth string guard. We're sucking in this UConn. Let's see what happens. Wild athlete. Possibly a great passer. She had some really nice flashes of midair kickouts. She was looking off defenders. She has D-cell. I'm telling you right now that she has D-cell. She hit a deep pull-up 3 when she got hit with a 1-under on a high pick and roll. There's just there's a lot here. There's a lot here out of someone playing one game against UConn. Look, UConn is obviously like in terms of their roster, this is not like, this isn't even like 2020, 2021 UConn, but this is also like they have a lot of decent guard defenders, and like when you're hitting like a deep pull-up 3 against Caitlin Chen, or you're setting up these passes against Paige and KK Arnold, that's worth noting. She's like destroy Caitlin Chen off the line.
Do you know how old Lainey Grant is?
Why would I?
She hasn't turned 18.
That's creepy.
She's playing her entire season at 17.
That's actually wild. Pretty sick. That's sick, dude.
Doesn't turn 18 until April, so like after the season will be over. For UNC will be out by then.
Yeah, no, they will. we can be sure of that. Sierra Toomey was interesting. She's like 3 of 7 from 3 or something. She's 6'4", does not appear to have a very long wingspan, but she's also 6'4" and moves like a wing. Has a handle, refused to drive through Paige Beckers on more than one occasion, but like it's also
probably smart.
It's also a redshirt freshman coming off a torn ACL, so like I can excuse the reticence. Was a defensive communicator. Just interesting stuff from a few different UNC players.
All right, thanks for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. Make your second listen Locked On Sports Today, the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube.
Come on down.
He's alive, I think.
I think so.
Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone.